Hi there everyone, today is the battle log for the 10th of January 2020. It was a Gold Coast outreach and today we had a few really good conversations. A lot of conversations I was having with as other team members, chatting with other members of like the group and stuff like that. A lot of people from Melbourne as well. I had one person explain to me as in, oh, the weather's terrible down there, which was kind of funny, but as you'll see. So I had a conversation really early in the beginning with two young girls. They were raised in a Catholic family and they kind of had an idea of what Jesus did on the cross, but not fully, not like the full realization of what it meant on the cross and what he did. So they had to go, but I was able to give them tracts to read later. Another conversation with a Muslim woman, actually a few Muslim women in there, and her husband had been chatting with another team member for an hour and I didn't make opportunity earlier, drats. So it was a great conversation. They had 2 days left on their holiday and they've been there for a week, and they're also from Melbourne. And so we kind of lightly got to talk about like how God is a just judge and stuff like that. And I kind of when I kind of questioned her about how God is just and in what kind of situation is she in, with the fact that she's, hey, I've committed sin but I still want to achieve heaven. And I was like, so how do we balance these two? You've committed sin but you want to go to heaven. She's like, oh, but God will forgive, he's merciful, which is what you hear a lot with Muslims, because they need to constantly repeat that to themselves before every prayer, I believe, and it's a lot throughout the Quran as well. And so I kind of didn't get to show her how that contradicts fundamentally. You say he's just, but he's also forgiving. Justice, and we find that God will by no means let no sin go unpunished. That's the standard of justice that's presented in the Bible. But mercy, how can we receive mercy if God needs to punish all of our sin, but we desire to be shown forgiveness and to be shown mercy without compromising his justice? How is that possible? Well, justice can be satisfied if it's not on me, if it's on someone else. And therefore I am being shown mercy, but justice is being satisfied through the sacrifice of someone else. And the only one who could perfectly take that punishment is Jesus. But I didn't get to explain that to her, so that was a little annoying. But I got to leave her with a tract, and so that was pretty cool. And had another girl from New Zealand, actually two girls, but one of them was only really interested in me. We had Hare Krishnas a lot on the Gold Coast, and they just kind of like do little vortexes of dances, and a lot of drunk people like to get in the vortex of dancing, but a lot of people stand by the sides, and this is always an opportunity to go up and chat with people, which is always really cool. And so I got to chat with this one girl from New Zealand, and we pretty much got through the entire gospel, which was really cool to chat about. Eventually I left her with that final question of like, okay, when do you think you're going to trust in Jesus? Because it's pretty important what you've heard. That's life-changing to a degree, right? And so she had to kind of really think about it. And so yeah, left that up to her. I had another girl from Melbourne who was with her parents, and two of the team members were chatting with the parents, and the girl's just standing there like, I don't want to be here. So I kind of opened up a conversation with her about her Starbucks, because she was drinking Starbucks and stuff like that. And she was very devout Catholic parents, but when I initially asked her, she's like, oh, but you've got to be good enough to get into heaven. And I'm like, well, are you good enough to get into heaven? And so throughout the conversation, she really there was like this light in her eyes whenever I would talk about, say, the free gift that Jesus gives us, which is being reconciled with God simply by trusting in his work on the cross. and so she was like, wow, like at that, which was cool. She mentioned that her parents were Catholics and that she'd been raised in a Catholic church, and I kind of had to show her the difference between what the Bible presents and what Catholic doctrine often teaches, which is, yes, we believe that there's one God, we believe that Jesus is God, we believe that Jesus died on the cross, but the difference is, how do we receive that? So what the Bible teaches is that it's received by faith alone. It's a free gift. We could never deserve it. Catholic doctrine teaches that you also need to do stuff, in a sense, that you can lose your salvation almost, that you've got to, you know, be baptized, perform sacraments, you know, confess to a priest, etc, etc. There's a long list. And in one of our checking questions, we kind of make sure that they've got a firm grasp on what we're telling them by asking, all right, so if you walk away from here and you commit another sin, say a lie, or you swear, or you get angry, whatever, and you instantly die, trust that Jesus paid for your sin, you commit another sin, then you die, where would you go? Heaven or hell? And she was insistent that it only pays you for your past sin, if I believe correctly. I might be mixing up with the girl from New Zealand, but showing that, hey, Jesus doesn't just pay for your past sin, but your future one as well. And that's pretty amazing. The final big conversation that I had, because I had a few other conversations like here and there, little splatters and stuff like that, but the final conversation I had was with a local girl who's a barista at Max Brennan, and bless her soul, she's like, hey, I've got one of these, when I gave her like a tract, and she's like, I think she said something like, oh yeah, all the old people think I'm like devil worshippers, devil worshipper or something. I was like, oh, bless, because that was hilarious. She'd never really deeply considered about the legitimacy of God, and she kind of just associated it as something as like just the universe. It's just the universe doing all that. So kind of really like, it was a very unconventional conversation in that regard, because I had to kind of like talk about, hey, well, but through this, what do you think the creator thinks about you? Is he happy with you? Is he angry with you? Like, work her through that and stuff like that. I didn't, and this is unusual, I didn't get to fully share with her the answer to her issue. That's very unconventional of me to do, but I did leave her with a gospel track, so hopefully she understands through that. Yeah, it is an unconventional thing not to share the answer, but I felt like she was still really trying to process the whole idea of everything else beforehand. So please pray for her, please pray for the rest of the people that we've met out on the street, that it's just constantly on their minds, and hopefully they can find their answers in Jesus. Until next time, thanks for watching.